So welcome to the music aisle of the archives in the Northern Province in Bethlehem. As you know, the Moravian Music Foundation has two offices, one in Winston-Salem and one in Bethlehem. The main office is in Winston-Salem, and that office houses 1/3 of the collection. Our satellite office is here in Bethlehem, and we house actually 2/3 of the collection, all of it being in this aisle. We start out with microfilm, and that project was done in the 1990s. And in this bay, we have actually a collection of odes, service odes dating from the 18th century to the 21st century. And then as we go forward, the collection is divided by congregation. So, as I said, there's an ode collection, and I just pulled actually some of the Christmas Eve odes. This is what they sang here in Bethlehem on Christmas Eve, 1785. So Christnacht, der 24. Dezember, 1785. I'm always astounded that they still exist. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the collections up here are housed by congregation, and alphabetically by congregation most of the time. And so we start with the Bethlehem Congregation collection, and what this is a collection of anthems, works which were sung in the Moravian Congregation in Bethlehem, in the Moravian Church in Bethlehem early on. And I will show you some gems from some of these collections a little bit later. So we have Bethlehem, and then we have Bethlehem Miscellaneous, which is actually where you find the Michael water music. We have a collection from Dover, Ohio. This music was actually found in a cracker box in a little container in a closet in the Moravian Church in Dover in the 1960s. They were renovating the church out there, and somebody opened a closet and opened the box, and lo and behold, they found this music. Thankfully, it came here. We don't have the cracker box, but I'm still working on that. But we're glad to have the music, and there are some gems in that collection. We go from Dover to Lititz. Again, this is the Lititz Congregational Collection. Then we have Lancaster Collection. And then we have LCM, which is the Lititz Collegium Musicum collection. As you know, I'm sure many of the Moravian communities had their own Collegium Musicum, had their own orchestras, including Lititz, including Nazareth, including Bethlehem, Salem. And this is the collection from Lititz. It actually starts here and goes to here. So it's a lot of orchestral music, wonderful orchestral music that they performed in Lititz and are continuing to perform. Then we go to Nazareth. Those top bins are in Nazareth. And here we start what is the PSB collection, the Philharmonic Society of Bethlehem collection. And this started out life as the Bethlehem Collegium Musicum collection. And that starts here and goes for this row and that row, all the way down to here. So again, a lot of incredible orchestral music. Many of them, some of them, the only copies that exist in the world. These are beautiful manuscripts that date back to many of them, of course, to the 18th century. And I'm always astounded at their beauty and their legibility. And one thing I want to show you is the very first item in the Collegium Musicum of Bethlehem collection. You would think that would be a work by a Moravian composer, wouldn't you? But it's not. So instead, it is, let me show you the first violin part. It is The Israelites in the Desert, which was an oratorio by CPE Bach. These parts were actually copied by Johann Friedrich Peter in 1795. Just beautiful manuscript. Absolutely beautiful. Here's the organ part for the oratorio, with the text written in so that the organist knew where they were. Again, beautiful manuscript. Peter, in 1795, he was paid £2, 9 shillings and twopence to copy all the parts. That sounds like a lot of money. It was a lot of money, but there were a lot of parts. So he earned it. We're going to go out into the reading room and take a closer view at some of our gems from the collection. I brought out some of the gems from our collection. First of all, we're going to start with a piece called Herr unser Gott, or Lord our God, by Jeremiah Denke. He came to America in 1761 and worked here in Bethlehem, was head of the Single Brethren's Choir at Christian Springs. And in 1766, he wrote this work, a doxology, for the Provincial Synod in Bethlehem of 1766. And this is actually what we consider to be the first concerted piece or orchestrated piece of church music composed in America. Jeremiah Denke. I'm going to bounce around a bit time-wise, but another wonderful work we have in our collection is this copy of Johann Sebastian Bach's Cantata Ein feste Burg ist unser Gott. Cantata for our mighty fortress is our God. Cantata for four voices with orchestra, with accompaniment with the orchestra. You can see here in Musikgesetz of set in music by Johann Sebastian Bach. Sorry. So this was copied in 1823 by Christian Till, and this is the first copy that we know of a work by Johann Sebastian here in America. Again, it was copied by Till, who was one of the organists at Central, and also did a lot of music copying. Was a composer himself, and that to me is the establishment of the Bethlehem Bach Choir. And then here we talked about a little bit about the Dover collection, and that those works were found in a box in a closet in the congregation of Dover. This is one of the wonderful works we found there. This is a copy of a solo Loveliest Emmanuel by Johann Antes. We knew of this work because Latrobe had referenced it, but we never had found an original version, and here it is. Just not only is it Loveliest Emmanuel music, but it is beautifully copied. Let's see. And here, this is truly wonderful. So here we have 6 quintets for 2 violins, 2 violas, and cello by Johann Friedrich Peter. Peter, as you know, was a Moravian minister and musician, and also a very prolific composer. Very prolific, and a prolific copyist. These quintets are what we consider to be the first chamber music written in America, and they're right here in our vault in Peter's hand. So just wonderful. Wonderful. Again, they've been around for a long time. You can see that Peter's signature there, Johann Friedrich Peter, JFP. He signed it on the 28th of February, 1789. As you undoubtedly know, the Moravian Music Foundation has many items in its collection which are the only ones in the world, and what you see here is one of those items. This is actually a Sinfonia in F major by J.C.F. Bach, one of the sons of Johann Sebastian. This Symphonia and another trio, Sonata in A, are here in Bethlehem. These are the only copies of these works that exist. And there are two other JCF Bach works in our sister office in Winston-Salem. It's pretty incredible to have these. There are also some other works within the collection, but this is one of my favorites to show. This was copied by Johann Friedrich Peter, again, extremely prolific, on the 27th of December, 1768. It's really interesting because that week of Christmas, at the end of 1768, Peter copied a symphony every single day of the week. Guess he had off that week. So anyway, you are looking at the only copy in existence of this work from its time. Here's one of the true gems of this collection. The very first performance of Haydn's creation in America was actually took place here in Bethlehem in 1811. And we know this because we have parts, again copied by Johann Friedrich Peter. As I say, he was extremely prolific. And he copied these parts in 1811. You can see here, it's signed Collegium Musicum in Bethlehem, 1811. He was paid very well for copying these parts. And it was the first performance in the States, although we still don't know if it was a partial or a complete performance. And we also don't know if it was in German or in English. And that's because we haven't found the ode or the program from that performance. But we know it took place because of the parts and because of cash receipts later. Both the bill to Peter for having copied the parts and then also the cash register from the performance itself. And these parts are just in incredible shape. Here's the first violin part, clearly labeled Die Schöpfung, the creation, and the first violin. And here we have the soprano part. There are a couple other copies of this score also dating from the same time period. They're in a little bit better shape than this one. But the reason we don't know if the performance was in German or in English is that the parts had both languages. So he planned ahead. And here we have the organ score, Die Schöpfung von Haydn, or the Creation by Haydn organ score. Again, the interior, just beautiful. And you can see there are little notes to the organist. So again, it was like a condensed score. So it would be conducting from the keyboard. And the performance was actually conducted by David Moritz Michael, another well-known Moravian composer, and Peter played the first violin part, so he was also an excellent violinist. So we had these parts, and they were dated 1811, so we knew that took place. As I say, we knew the performance took place, but we never knew what Peter used to copy the parts from. And then about 10 years ago, in 2011, I believe it was, the director of the Moravian Music Foundation received a call from a rare book dealer in the Northeast who said, "I think I have something here you might be interested in." And he was right. What it was a full score of the first edition of Haydn's Creation. And the Music Foundation trustees got together and purchased the score for our holdings, and it's clearly signed Johann Friedrich Peter, the 8th of January, 1807. So it predates the parts that he copied. And it's just in wonderful shape. It truly is. It is printed and has some notes in it in Peter's hand indicating who is playing what where. And again, even the full score is in both German and English, so we really can't tell which one they use, which language they sang at the first performance. One of the things is, though, that the full score is bound incorrectly. So in the middle of the chorus, "The Heavens Are Telling," here is page 104, and then all of a sudden we're in another chorus. So they marked out, don't use these pages, but instead use these pages. So this goes from 104 to 105. And then here it says, "This side must be copied instead of page 4, but not omitted in its proper place." So it's a little note to the copyist. So, but this is truly wonderful. We have, here's a program from the 1839 performance in Central Moravian Church. This performance obviously was in English, and they went all out for this performance, decorating the sanctuary, and had a huge chorus and a huge orchestra. But we are still looking, as I say, for the program from the first performance. And here we have actually a relatively recent acquisition to the collection. A first edition of CPE Bach's 6 sonatas, so CPE Bach, another one of J.S. Bach's son, 6 sonatas for clavier, for the piano. And this edition is signed by Johannes Herbst. We're not quite sure how it came to the Bethlehem Bach Choir office, but it did over the years. And one of the trustees of the Bach Choir purchased it when it was for sale, and then donated it to us in return. I have a feeling it probably started out in Moravian hands, but it certainly ended up in Moravian hands. So we are very grateful to have this wonderful edition. It's a little complicated, but beautiful works.